24 years old now, and I live in Oklahoma, just about 20 minutes away from here. But it took a lot to get to this point. It wasn't one simple race. There was a lot of things that happened before that. So I started swimming in New Jersey, 11 to 12 hours from here. So my mom said I cried a lot of my first practices. But pretty soon I started making some friends. And some of those friends that I made my first year at swimming were bridesmaids in my wedding last year. So that's my favorite part of the sport of swimming, is the friendships that I made locally and now. So that meant I had to learn how to balance, because I really wanted to do well in school, but I wanted to get better in swimming. So I set goals in swimming and in school. So I actually got really good at doing homework in the car. That way I was still able to study and stay on top of my grades and my schoolwork in school. So I kept swimming through high school, and by the time I got to the end of high school, I knew I wanted to go to college, but I also had 5 younger brothers and sisters, and in order to pay for college, I was going to have to get a scholarship and swim in college. So I got recruited to a few different schools, and one of those schools was the University of Louisville. I was excited. I was loving every day. I went from swimming 6 days a week in high school to then swimming 10 times a week and lifting 3 days a week as well. So I was swimming about 20 hours a week on top of doing all of my schoolwork. But part of my scholarship was for academics, and we call ourselves student athletes. So that means our schoolwork is first, and then everything that we do as athletes is second. So I sought help from tutors, and I worked really hard in study hall, so that way I was able to keep some of my scholarship from academic scholarship and keep a good GPA, because even though I'm still swimming now, one day swimming is going to come to an end. I'm going to have to get a real job, and that's where my academics and my degree is going to come in handy. So my freshman year, I loved it, and I got better, was because of my teammates. We created a culture of encouragement in practice and really being really positive. So we noticed that when we're training and we're in a lot of pain, if we're cheering for our teammates, we're not thinking about ourselves as much. We're thinking about pushing our teammates, and we're not thinking about our own pain. So I know I got a lot better because my teammates pushed me, and I was trying to encourage them as well. So I had my first injury. Have you guys been injured before? Yeah, it's no fun, right? I was on land, and I was trying to jump to get the front door, and I twisted my right ankle with the upper right ankle sprain. And it was really painful. I still tried to keep swimming in practice, but that year I got so much better because of my kick. And without my ankle, my kick was pretty worthless, and I was in a lot of pain. So I still went to that meet, but I pretty much cried after all my events. But I realized that my purpose in my swimming isn't to win, and it's not to impress people. I really feel like swimming is a gift, and I wanted to use that week and my swimming in general just to glorify God with my swimming rather than impressing people and winning. So even though it was a hard lesson to learn at the time, I'm really grateful for that lesson, and I've kept that with me since then. So I came back my second year, my ankle healed, and I continued to get better. And this time, I decided to stay at school again after my sophomore year, and I was working really hard, but I worked so hard that my body decided to protest, and I went to the doctor, and they told me that I had mono. And mono is where your spleen's a little enlarged, and you're just really tired all the time, so I felt terrible in the water. The doctor told me to take 6 weeks off, and if you guys find out that you have mono, you should listen to your doctor. But I decided I wanted to keep swimming. So I decided to keep swimming until my nationals that summer again, because it was about a month out from that meet again. And that time, I was trying to qualify for the national team to go to a meet in Australia. And I really wanted to go to Australia for hold a koala and meet a kangaroo. I thought that would be really cool. When I was at the meet, I was asking as many questions as I could to try to learn as much from all the meets that they had been and all the experience that they had. I wanted to learn as much as I could. So after my junior year, I won my first 2 national titles, and I went to the Pan American Games, and I ended up finishing first in the United States and third in the world in my best event, which is the 100 butterfly. So that led into my last year of college, which is also an Olympic year. Do you guys know what it takes to make the Olympic team? So it's a pretty challenging and crazy challenging and pretty complex criteria. So first, you have to qualify for the Olympic trials, which is really, really tough in itself. The U.S. is the best swimming country in the world, and we have really, really tough qualifying standards. So in my event, the 100 butterfly, 160 girls qualified. And then out of all those 160 girls, I had to be the top 2. I had to be 158 of those girls to make it on the Olympic team. Whenever I got really stressed and all the butterflies, my stomach started happening, I would talk to my coach, and he would tell me that every day we're going to swim in a 50-meter pool. And that's one thing we can control. I can also control my attitude every day in practice, and I can control how hard I work. So I was going to know that I was going to be one of the hardest workers on the pool deck. I was going to be working harder than anyone else I was going to swim next to. And I wasn't going to worry about the things I can't control. I was going to focus on what I can control. So I did make it into the semifinals, and then after finals, I touched the wall. I can't remember anything that happened during my race, but I heard the announcer announce my name even before I saw my name on the scoreboard. I won the Olympic trials. I became an Olympian. I was crying. I ran over to my family. They got to sit in the front row of the stadium we were in, and it was a really surreal moment. A huge honor to be able to represent my country at the Olympics. So after to make some adjustments, but have you guys ever had a game or a test that you feel like you had studied and worked really hard for, and then it doesn't go well at all? So that happened to me at the Olympics, unfortunately. So I had my semifinal race, and I touched the wall, I saw my time, and it was really slow. So much slower than I went at the Olympic trials. And so I was the first semifinal heat. There were 2 heats, and I stood on the side of the pool watching the second heat go, and they were faster than me, and I saw the results, and I finished 9th by .04. I missed the Olympic final by 1 spot in .04 of a second. Like, I can't even snap that fast. But thankfully, since Team USA does have the best swimming country in the world, I was given another chance to put my cap on a few days later in the meet for the 400 medley relay. And because of that, I was able to swim on the prelims. So they needed 4 swimmers in the prelims to help secure a spot in the final. And so I was actually in the stands when I earned my gold medal, watching the finals relay swim. But since I was still a part, screaming my lungs out as my teammates were swimming. So it wasn't the Olympics that I had expected. I had my highs and my lows through that summer, but I knew that after the Olympic trials I had my best swims. I was still improving, and I wanted to keep swimming. I love this sport. I wasn't sick of it yet, so I decided I was going to keep swimming after that summer. I got to go to Tokyo, Japan this past summer at the Pan Pacific Championships, and then just last night I got back from China, where I won 9 medals in China for the Short Course World Championships. So I'm still working really hard every day and still setting goals. I think goals are really important. And I get to still swim with my college teammates at Louisville every day. So it's been such a fun journey. I'm still learning so much about myself, and I'm really glad that I get to swim full time. I earned my degree 2 years ago. I graduated, and so now I just get to swim full time, and it's been so much fun. So I think we have some more time now, if you guys want to ask any questions. Yes. My goal is to still compete, yes. We're about a year and a half from the next Olympic trials, so the Olympic trials are pretty special because it's really black and white. You make it or you don't, and there's nothing that you could do in the past to help you qualify for the future. So just because I went before doesn't help me this next time. So there's still a lot of pressure, but what I learned from last time will give me a lot of confidence.
What was your fastest time?
My fastest time in the 100-meter butterfly is 56.3 seconds. My name is Kelsey, or Dahlia. I just got married, so I have a new last name I can do it.